So let's just shoot from the hip first. Who says Bert's the better student? Bert's the better student? This is not, I'm not asking for justification yet. Just Bert's the better student. We got one vote for Bert. Okay. Who says Ernie's the better student? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. 9. Sure. How many say neither? Neither's the better student. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Basically 9. Neither. Okay. Okay. So Hattie, the lone voice for Bert. Tell me why.
Well, perhaps Bert has quite a load outside of school. He's also going to work. And the first week, say it's in chronological order. First week, he was able to get enough time off work to properly study. The next week, it was like crazy. He was working 80 hours.
I like that.
And so on and so forth. And so he really is an excellent student, but his grade doesn't reflect it.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. Here's the challenge of anybody trying to assess a student, like me trying to assess you guys. I have no idea what your lives are outside of class, and I can't really fairly do that. Like, as much as I want to sometimes, I want to give you guys credit for what you do outside of your daily lives. I'm not allowed to do that. So I love what you said, Hattie. I 100% agree with what you said, but we can't assess that in any way. So I'm not saying that Bert isn't indicative of exactly what you just implied. I'm just saying that that's a tricky path to walk. You guys said Ernie. Ernie, why Ernie? Kate?
Kind of like you said. Maybe he's not the brightest individual, but he sure as heck tries. He studies before his tests. He's not getting 95s, but he studies for all of them.
Interesting. I like this very much.
He's consistent.
Consistent. Okay. Oh, and both your hands went down. You were going to go with the word consistent. I want to come back to that word. Harrison?
Yeah, I picked Ernie too because if I had a bet who was going to pass the class, I'd put money on it. Ernie's way more consistent across the board than Bert.
Okay, I've heard this word twice.
And it's,
I'm gonna put it
consistency is what I
here.
consider better.
I'm going to put it here. Consistent. So is it fair to put, oh, excuse me. That's over here.
You're not consistent, Bert.
Consistent.
Poor Bert.
Can I put inconsistent over here? Is that fair? I mean, and I'm putting it in quotes because we haven't even defined inconsistent. We haven't even defined what these terms mean yet. But I think we can agree that whatever consistency is, Bert is less of it than Ernie. I do like what Harrison said. I like what Harrison said, where he said, if I had to put my money on someone passing the course, I'd put my money on Ernie versus Bert. I think you can read that two different ways. I would agree with you if you had phrased it, if I had to put my money on someone passing the next test,
the next door.
I would agree with that 100%, because it looks, if we use my definition of pass, which is get a 70 or better, that's like a C or better in my class, Bert's shooting at 60% pass rate. He's got 3 out of 5 that pass and 2 that don't. That's 60% pass rate, where Ernie passes all. He's at 100%. The reason why I stepped back when you said that, Harrison, was their averages are exactly the same. How many of you calculated that? Yes, I'm assuming all 9 of you did. Right? Every one of you realized that Bert and Ernie's averages were both 81 points. And that's why, Harrison, it's hard for me to say put money on passing the course, because they're both sitting on an 81 right now.
I thought like sports or something. Like I pick someone for my team.
But you're thinking of a batter going to the batting box for the next at-bat, which is different than an overall batting average. I like what you're saying. Robert, go.
Well, Bert could bomb the final, and the final could be weighted pretty heavy.
Absolutely. That's why the can of worms that Harrison opened was so kind of cool. I mean, it depends. Is the final weight, in my class it's not.
No.
It's just one more assessment.
Right.
So it depends on who you're talking to. Some people don't even give a final anymore, which you're not supposed to. You're supposed to by contract to give one. But it all depends on how much weight it carries, right? Total fit. That's probably your take, Natalie. Go ahead, Hattie.
Babe Ruth was considered one of the best batters ever. He also had the highest strikeout rate in all of the major leagues.
So how is best batter defined? Obviously, it wasn't by ERA, or not ERA, RB.
It was
He
by
was also
most,
drunk.
Average.
by
He was
most
also drunk.
runs. Most runs.
Most runs, RBIs, or runs he caused,
Runs
basically.
caused, yeah.
Very interesting. If you guys ever have the time, I haven't had a chance to finish the book, and I probably won't because life is so busy. But Moneyball, the book that the movie was based off of, looking at the statistics of baseball is extraordinarily interesting. how these new percentages have, I went to my first professional baseball game in like 20 years a couple months ago at Fenway Park, which was just surreal, absolutely surreal. And I saw all these statistics I'd never seen before, like slugging percentage, and there was this one like OLB, which is like slugging percentage plus batting average. All these interesting statistics, and the book actually explains why these new statistics have come to be. Because certain things are not worth looking at, and that was what, I forget the character's name, whoever Brad Pitt played in the movie, that manager of the, whatever team that was, which I can't think of right now.
The A's.
It was the A's, thank you. That manager of the A's was able to consistently buy cheap talent because Billy something or other, because he was able to look at the statistics that mattered. RBI didn't matter at all, apparently, which is so interesting, because Babe Ruth, that's all he had was RBIs, but he had a wicked strikeout rate. So yeah, when he hit, he cleared the bases every time, but how often did he hit? That's the question, right? That's the question. That's what Billy is able to buy cheap. He's not buying Babe Ruth, he's not buying Jeters, he's buying these people you never heard of before, because they consistently perform versus Zingas. And it's an interesting book for that reason alone. Kate?
I think the solution to this is Bert and Ernie need to study together, because Bert knows a little bit more, I think, because he's his top scorers, but Ernie studies and is consistent, so Ernie needs to tell Bert to study more often, and Bert needs to share his knowledge.
I agree with one word of everything you just said, and the word is consistent. No, here's what, not because I don't, Kate, I love what you're saying, but none of what you said is verifiable except for the fact that Ernie's more consistent than Bert. We can't prove that one's studying more than the other one. All we have are the results. This is so important, friends. This is so important. All we have are these 5 scores each. So I agree. Basically, everything I just heard was, Ernie's consistent, because everything else is
I built a
unverifiable.
character.
What's that?
I built a character.
I love that you have done that, but you also built a bias. And that's okay. We're learning about bias and statistics too, aren't we? Thank you, sister. Hey, did you guys check did you check the medians and modes?
Yeah, the medians were different.
They were different?
I thought they were, 82 and.
82, it was like 82, 81.
Yeah, 81.
Yep, Bert's a little bit higher.
Hi.
Yeah, there you go. Aha, that proves it. That's what it proves. I look at that and go, they're about the same. Is there a mode? No. With so few data, there's very rarely a mode. I do want to share one thing with you guys, and I'm going to have you explore this on your first take-home exam in more depth. There's an average called a trimmed average. And I mentioned this in class very briefly a few days ago, and then failed to get more deep into it. I should have gotten more deeply into it. We'll do it on the take-home exam with Excel. A trimmed average, how many of you have ever been in a class where an instructor will throw out a low grade and then re-average? That's very generous and also very poor statistics. What you should do is throw out a low and throw out a high. And that's what trimming a mean does. So if we take Bert and Ernie and throw their low and high out and re-average, why would we do that? Why would we do that? Say that again, Andrew, nice and loud.
Outlier.
Because if a data point truly is an outlier, it means it's affecting the average, potentially affecting the average. By removing that outlier, hopefully the average will be able to reset back to more where it should be correctly. And if you throw off, say it's a low test score that's throwing it off. If you toss the low test score off, you can throw off a corresponding highest test score. But as long as the highest test score isn't an outlier, you're going to have other highest test scores. So in other words, the only thing you're losing is that low crap value out there. Fair enough? That's why, JC, the answer to my question was, you're not going to replace that quiz you were talking about before, but you're going to pad it with more up top, and eventually it's going to get absorbed. And it won't even matter, I guarantee you that. Okay? So here's the deal. Let's do the trimmed mean for both these guys. Let's take the low and the high off. And for Ernie, it's 79 and 83. That's still an 81, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which means his low and his high essentially are not outlier lows and highs.
They're both 81.
They're both a point off of their next highest scores. So they're both, right. And you can reshare the values.
They're both 81.
Oh, they're both 81. Oh, so the trim mean for Bert, you say, is also 81. Kate, love it. So if you lop off the 100 and the 61 and we start sharing, that looks like an 81 to me. I'm going to trust you on that one.
It's 81.3 for Bert, just
Oh,
for
so-
the record.
Oh, wow.
I'm just saying, you know.
This class is going to be fun with these two next to each other. 81.3, Hattie.
No,
Which-
for Bert. For our good friend Bert.
Oh, I got it backwards again.
Inconsistent dude.
Sorry.
You know. Gotta give him some.
I think I'm looking there and writing here, which is confusing the hell out of me. But regardless, here's why I look at these. That's all the same number. Please, JC.
So with the trimming, you take off the lowest and the highest, even though if it's not an outlier?
Here's the deal. Here's the deal. First of all, I love your question. The technical definition of a trim mean is you take off a certain percentage of the data. This is what you'll explore in Excel. Excel's got a command for it called TMU or T-mean or trim mean or something. I've got it. You'll relearn like I do every time. As far as what it's called. And what you do is you set a percentage of removal. So you take the top 3% and the bottom 3%, or the top 10% and the bottom 10%, whether or not it's an outlier. The idea being, if you remove data points that aren't outliers, you're still not changing the average anyway. But if you take a data point away that is an outlier that was affecting the average, you'll see the average shift greatly. So here's a question I have for you guys. Did removing any potential outliers change the averages of these two gentlemen at all? Doesn't look like it. Which means either neither of them were outliers that we removed, or if there were outliers, there was one at the top, one at the bottom anyway, that canceled each other out and didn't change the average. So any way we're looking at it, it looks like none of the data points were actually affecting the overall averages. So, we're having a strong case in favor for those who say neither of them is better. Because by measure of center, these guys are exactly the same student. They basically have the exact same measures. They're batting around at 81, pretty much across the board. I love it when somebody said, aha, 81.3, or aha, 82. That's what it was. 82 is bigger than 81. Statistically, it's meaninglessly bigger, though. That's the whole point, is that they're essentially the same student. But is there a difference between them? And you guys nailed that almost immediately. The difference is right here. And that's what I want to start talking about today, is how we measure consistency with these guys. How we measure consistency. I'm going to raise this up and get some more board space for us. I want to leave their scores on the board, because I want to create more questions for you guys to kind of think about it here. All right, there's that awesome white stuff from Patty. So, we just got done, and we're not done, just so you know. We just kind of, how do I say, we're done, we're moving on. We're going to add to the idea of measures of central tendency or center. And that is fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic. That tells us how to take an average, what an average means, how to find a median, what a median means, what a mode is, what a trimmed mean is. All these things are wonderful and they're very, very important. But sometimes stuff like this happens, where you want to mark the difference in data sets, but the difference is not inherently obvious via the measures you already have. So what I want to get into today is something that I always think should go along with center measures, which is measures of. Now, consistency is a fantastic word, and I wish to hell we used that very word, because 9 times out of 10, 19 times out of 20, classes say the word consistent. They don't use the word that statisticians use, which is measures of variation.
It's like the range.
Good! There's one of them. There's one of them, and there's probably a half a dozen more. But here's what I want to do. Rather than just kind of laundry list them out to you guys, I want you, Kelly, stretch it or just a question or just stretch it? Stretch it. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. I did a pretty good one too, I apologize. Here's what I want to do. I asked you guys to rank the students, better or worse, via any method that you could. Here's what I want you to do now. I want you to take a few moments, and I want you to create some measure of variation or consistency or inconsistency based on those values. Make up your own. Make up your own. Come up with, using mathematics you already know, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, percentages, fractions. We kind of did it already a little bit when we said, I bet on Ernie versus I bet on Bert for the next exam, because Bert's only got a 60% chance of passing based on previous results, where Ernie's got a 100% chance of passing. Making the assumption that the next assessment is just as difficult as the previous ones. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Make up something along those lines. Yeah, think about it. Work with each other. Bounce ideas back and forth, and we'll reconvene.